welcome back to part 3 of
I feel inadequate now.
So we've got Brian Conjure who's joined us. Brian is actually just Brian is actually the newest.
Shall we move up?
Yeah. You've got the only craft beer blog in the country. So far, yeah. So you're the only one that's in the country at the moment. That's the Irish Craft Beer Show. You've done episode 2 recently.
Since it was moved today.
So I went to today, right? Excellent. So just pick up on the point that you were saying about sort of we're buying locally, we're getting our food, we're trying to support local brewers, and we're trying to encourage the thing of drinking locally.
Yeah. So that obviously happens in Ireland. What happens as well is really a rediscovering of actually Irish tradition, of Irish food, of things that have been done hundreds of years ago that you might know still from your childhood that have been lost through the Celtic Tiger. Those people went go by takeaways and all that, but
and globalization in general.
And globalization in general, yeah, obviously. Well, Irish food is based around very few ingredients. A lot of stuff doesn't grow here. Let's be honest. I mean, you won't be able to grow a pineapple or an orange in Ireland ever. Not within 1 week of summer again. But I mean, there's great Irish stuff to rediscover. It just, for example, in Galway, air dried lamb ham kind of started, and it's amazing. Yeah, but it took them 7 years actually to actually get it through HACCP. They had to fly the HACCP officers into Switzerland on his own cost. You know, he had to pay their flights to actually get his ham out of the market, lamb ham. Because curing meats by Irish HACCP law is not legal. So I couldn't be like in a restaurant, be dry aging my own meats and curing my own cold cuts or whatever. I couldn't do it because it does not suit any HACCP law in Ireland, and it nearly screwed up over the cheese industry because, well, raw milk cheese does contain bacteria. Obviously, it does contain bacteria. This is what makes cheese so tasty.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the great of it, you know.
Part of it.
And that is the taste of it, you know. The whole moldiness around it and that gooiness comes from actually bacteria, yeah. And they wanted to actually stop it because it might be unhealthy. And they nearly screwed over the cheese industry there. They've done it to the food industry, especially to the meat part of the food industry. They've screwed that completely over. They've nearly done it to cheese, and I hope it won't happen to craft beer because there's a lot of possibilities of craft beer. You can do anything.
It's endless.
Yeah, I think touching on that point, I read an article recently where the FDA in America were kind of saying that, you know, brewers shouldn't be giving the spent grain to animals unless they can prove it's safe. And I think it get repealed, didn't it? But like in Ireland, like I know from personal experience, the lads Paddy and Dara in Brew, they give their spent grain and hops straight out of the kettle into a plastic bucket and bring it out to the local farm, give it to the cows and pigs and whatever's there. And I hope, like, the brewers in this country already have to go through an extraordinary amount of red tape to get set up. It's the manufacturer's license from the revenue, their excise sort of things, and they also have to have HSE certification for food safety and all this kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to go there because realistically, as long as everything is stored properly, grains, like the ingredients are dry grains, hops that are vacuum sealed, water that comes from either town mains or through a filtration, and yeast, and they're all sterilised before they're made. Like, and obviously I suppose they will be subject to investigation, but I would hope that, I know from the food side, I know a couple of food people that have been like, are you serious?
Look, do you want to go to Brews in the UK where you take their largest craft beer brewery, they have a huge lab so you can make sure that there's nothing off in the beers. Like the lengths that they have to go to actually make sure their beers have got nothing off in there that's going to compromise the quality of the beer that's going into the bottle. We don't do that here, and there's an awful lot of trust which goes on with it. And I'd hate to see us get to the point where it becomes legislated, where craft beer brewers get excluded from setting up because they have to have a lab checking
which they can't pay, obviously. You know, can't.
There's the time as well. Because if you think about it, you're sending a sample away. It's about 7 days, 8 days before you get told what's going on with it. that's 8 days where you could be making a correction to the beer, and it could be the difference between 5 grand being washed down the sewer or not.
Absolutely.
It comes down to process, so I think every brewer worth their salt would know. Even a home brewer can tell when a batch they've made is not right.
Even a non-brewing person can tell that in the living room.
Yeah, like as my mum always said, God bless her. If, say for example, you picked up a chicken, at I know we talked about free range and all that. Say you were in the supermarket and you picked up you just were in a rush. You said, I'm picking up a raw chicken and I'm going to cook that for dinner. If you pop that open from the sealed environment and you get a smell that's off, 99 times out of 100, your nose is telling you there's something wrong with that chicken. Do not cook it. And the same applies to people's taste. I've had beers in places and I've taken a mouthful and I've actually gone back to the bar and I've said, lads, that's still the last beer that was in that line. You didn't clean it out properly, or there's caustic in the line, or there's something there. You can tell. And I think the skill level of brewers generally will allow them to tell without that level of oversight. I hope it doesn't go that way. I really do hope that from the initial discussions with a couple of politicians I've had about, opening out craft brewers being allowed to sell beer on their own premises, which currently they're not allowed to do here, which in the States and in the UK, depending on the state and county obviously.
And if you're a dry or a non-dry,
but I could go to Timothy Taylor in Keighley when I'm over in the UK and I could pick up like a load of beer if I wanted. But over in Ireland you have to sell a minimum of 20 litres roughly, which is,
40 pints of beer.
But it's interesting because when I was at a really nice craft beer place in London called Cask, they were selling beer out of plastic jugs as growlers. And I'm sorry, a plastic jug, a plastic milk jug.
Pitcher or...
No, just a plastic
it's like
milk
a beer bag
pitcher.
thing. Yeah.
It wasn't even a bag. Like, if I can bring in a plastic bag from Tesco, then I've got a real problem. If I can fill a bag and take it home, that would be a problem.
Pouches.
They actually sell them here, the resealable pouches.
Well, we've got issues in the U.S. with growlers, and they have to be either metal or glass, and they have to be certain things.
Well, they have to be able to contain pressure, don't they,
There's a
really?
minimum thickness in growlers, especially in some states where they've actually got a thicker growler is required.
Well, then we've got certain sizes, and in Florida, we can only do 32 ounce or 128 ounce, and you can't do 64 ounce because it's
Whereas
Florida.
all the growlers are over 64 ounces, about 4 pints.
And 64, well, but those are US pints, because our pints are 16 ounce, your pints are 20 ounce. So
Yeah, so it's a little bit less. It's 3.8 pints or something.
So we've got-
one of the pubs we're in tonight actually does their own growler fill, Sweetman's, and they'll have a couple of their specials on tonight. I'm really looking forward to trying their World Cup special. Is it Macarena or Maracana?
Oh yeah.
Or whatever they call it.
Americana.
What, Macarena? Well, excuse me.
Sorry, dance.
Macarena's a fancy. Well, give me enough beer and you never know what may happen. That's all I'm saying. My reputation will be ruined. Everyone will be unsubscribing from my blog and Twitter and everything, and I'll be a pariah.
No, you'll probably go viral. It'll be the Macarena.
Steve, jump on in. We've got another 5 minutes. This is beer I've known from Northern Ireland, Cookstown, Tyrone. Steve to everyone. Everyone say hi, Steve. Hi, Steve. We're actually recording right now, so jump on in. Or if you're going to go down and get a pint or whatever. Indeed.
But what's funny is we're at this sort of juncture at the moment where Ireland is taking in an awful lot of American craft beers, we're taking in an awful lot of British craft beers, we're taking in an awful lot of European craft beers, and we're seeing a huge variety coming into the country. And I'm kind of just sitting here waiting for like the large variety to start popping up from ours. Like in terms of regular stuff, like earlier on
That
today.
actually goes away, like that actually is not just a red ale or a porter or a stout or a pale ale, it's something really different. Like, we've had a Gose sold over an Irish travelling brewery, a gypsy brewery, but not a Gose brewed in Ireland so far. It'll be there in about 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
Hopefully, it's not great for us. We actually have to, we have more of this, and it becomes more normal.
Yeah.
Because when I go into an off-license in this country and I see the Sierra Nevadas,
Yeah.
I see BrewDocks, I see the Anchors, I see the Flanders, I'm looking at all these and going, okay, these are all amazing, big flavoured beers.
So we've been looking
That
at
tells me
those.
there's an Irish market
this video for the last.
There is room for Irish brewers. Yeah, well, there is room for Irish beers that are going different ways. There's a brewery that has opened in the west called Mexican, which is doing Belgian beers in Ireland. But there's more to come, hopefully. Like, I want to see all that Goza, all that, Berliner Weissen, all that. I want to see that produced in Ireland.
St. Mel's have some interesting stuff coming as well, and White Hag.
Okay.
White Hag are doing a Heather IPA at the minute.
So they're actually doing like the frog on an IPA way. So actually a beer off just Irish beers. So
So would you call them Irish Belgian beers or Belgian Irish beers? Just curious.
Belgian style beers brewed in Ireland.
Yeah, Irish Belgian style beer.
Yeah,
Yes. Ireland has to come first.
I think a lot of it is they stick to the BJCP definitions of style, and it'll just be it's a Belgian style beer brewed in Ireland. You know, there's a lot of guys doing saisons or farmhouse ales at the moment.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of wit beers and hefeweizens, ambers, and you know there's reds that questionably probably aren't reds by the classical definition. But what that really shows, and it touches what you said earlier about innovation, what the beer industry in this country really needs is people to tackle it by the scruff of the neck and shake the definition to hell and say, this is how I'm going to make a red ale, and if you don't like it, tough, I don't care, this is what I'm doing. And we're beginning to see that with Rascals, very hot. Brew Rua is also a very hoppy red ale. The Hurler by Four Provinces as well. That you're beginning to see people like, they made theirs with a lot of alt malts, you know, from Germany. So there's more German malt as well as Irish malt in there. So like there's people challenging definition and perception as well, which is what you need to see. You need that ingenuity for everyone to keep an interest, because if everyone brewed a pale ale, a red ale and a stout, everyone would be like, for fuck's sake, you know.
And I think what's needed as well is people to actually, you know, take conscience of the fact that you have so many different ingredients that can be found, like gorse flowers, as Eric was saying.
Yeah, my project is a gorse flower pale ale.
Yeah, exactly. There are found everywhere in Ireland growing wild.
My cousin is brewing a gorse beer at the minute, using the flowers from a gorse bush.
Gorse bush, how does he do it?
Well, he's using a standard beer, grain mill, but he's introducing it in for flavour. I'm looking forward to tasting that, but that's a bit
The
weird.
question is, if it comes out, it won't have to do it fermentation. It is a bittering agent under fermentation. The flavours itself, which are vanilla, pineapple, and a little bit of banana, going on in the flour, are only to be extracted through a certain way. It does not happen throughout only fermentation.
No, I don't know what way he's doing it. That's all he told me. So I'm
Just
sure it
introduce them in the brew. I've tried that. It
fascinating
won't
to
be
me.
that way. You have to actually extract them under a different way. Under a kind of
Fascinating
scientific
to me is the fact that the 4 ingredients that the German purity laws said you could add. Now, Ireland is doing the same type of thing as the US, where it's like if there's rules, I'm sorry, we're not following them. And one of the things I'd like to say for any of the Irish brewers that are watching or listening, there are American brewers that would be absolutely happy to collaborate brew, and we have brewers doing that right now with Denmark, with England, that a brewer will come over here and collaborate brew a recipe, and then the Irish brewer will come over to the States and brew, so we don't worry about importation and all the legislation and stuff like that. You come over, you brew with our brewers in the US, we come over, we brew with you, and then you release 2 different brews that have the same recipe, and you change one ingredient. You change the hops, or you change the water, or you change something, and you end up with 2 completely different brews. But guess what? Ireland, all the Irish can come to Florida and come to the US and taste a collaboration brew with somebody that is from your home. And Americans can come over here and taste something that is partially American infused, and it creates so much synergy with the number of Irish people that we have in the US and the number that come over on holiday is amazing.
Right events for this, because tomorrow you're going to meet a few Irish brewers who are actually attending on Saturday. A couple more who are actually going to be attending as well. And you know, given what you work with in terms of the Tampa Bay Beer Week, you know, it is the perfect opportunity. And it's great when you get things like this and allows for this kind of things to happen.
It's like Trouble Brewing had gone for over to, was it, not to Tampa, It's the one that Bruce runs in Nova Scotia.
Oh, in Canada.
Yeah. Trouble Brewing and the Irish Brew are going over this year.
But we've got, that's one thing about craft brewing, it pervades legislation, it pervades countries, it pervades cultures. It's young people getting together, brewing together, and really making it the world.
There's a great example of that. There's a beer by Dogfish Head, which is actually done with an Italian brewer that we get in Ireland. And we can't put our hands on any of Sam's beers in this country. But that is the one exception because it's brewed in Italy. So we're actually able to put our hands on it, which is a really good thing.
It's bringing people together.
It is.
Which is what you're looking at.
Your experience in terms of like when you're looking at beers yourself, what do you look for? Are you looking for something which is, I want to see something which is Irish in a glass, or are you looking for something which has the kind of that foreign fusion going on?
I would say I think I'm more looking for the foreign fusion. I've gone through my Irish craft beers for a while, and I've gone through many of the Holy Trinity, many breweries of the Red Stage. I think what I like is I think the Brews is Orleans Nest, which is popped up Belgian IPA. It's more than just a Holy Trinity.
It's going to be that challenging convention, and the beautiful thing about craft beer is it wants you to challenge convention. It always wants you to be different. It never wants to be something that was produced and designed by guys in suits at a table.
Absolutely.
The story behind the beer.
So I think that's one thing I love about this, and when I talk to brewers, I love listening to their stories about how they got started, and for me that's what makes it personal. I feel it can get a connection to what's in my glass. I think that's hugely important.
It is. Absolutely.
And I think more Irish people need to come over for Tampa Bay Beer Week because it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. March
What are those dates again?
March 7 to 15 in Tampa. It'll probably be 25 Celsius.
I could deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're all invited.
It's my favorite part of Florida. I love it over there.
I like that you're making a point to say like it will be 25 degrees.
All the Irish will get probably absolutely lobsterized there.
I'll be wearing factor
Too much sun.
And I'm not responsible for sunburns.
Yeah.
Especially if you fall asleep drinking all that beer.
We're going to wind up this show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Remember, rate, review, thumbs up. And remember, you can get the Irish Crafters show on iTunes now. You're still on YouTube. The Irish Beer Snob is on irishbeersnob.com.
Yeah, podcast to come soon.
Podcast coming soon, yeah. Carol, your blog, where can people find your blog?
microbrewsusa.wordpress.com.
And your blog, Beers I've Known. Tell them where they can find it, Steve.
BeersI'veKnown.com or BeersI'veKnown.ie, depends what you fancy typing.
And of course, Brews We Place. They own the hashtag.
Yeah, we own the hat. We've created the hashtag. We're just around.
We have Twitter, Facebook, and soon a blog.
Exactly. And as always, you can get it on everythingSomewhere.com, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and YouTube.
So we need to go cheers.
Cheers!
Cheers. We're all here talking.